Well, on the line now, I have Maria Caulfield, the MP for Lewes. She has concerns about the East Chiltington scheme and another proposal for 700 new homes in Willingdon near Polegate. Meanwhile, over in West Sussex, campaigners in Adversane and West Chiltington near Horsham are fighting plans for a 3,000 home new town. Julian Trumper is the chairman of the Big Stand group representing local residents. He also joins me this morning. Let's go to you first, though, Maria. I mean, it's difficult, this, isn't it? I mean, I've heard, this morning the concerns from local residents about the East Chiltington scheme. But, I mean, there's no getting away from the fact that we desperately need new homes. There's so many people, particularly those from the younger generation, who just don't have any hope at all of getting on the property ladder. What is the answer?
Yeah, no, I mean, there is a shortage of homes nationally, and every political party at the last election pledged at least 300,000 homes a year. The Lib Dems did. The Greens actually went further and said 500,000 homes a year. So there is a need for homes. But in the South East, and the Prime Minister did say this at Prime Minister's questions last week, the South East is overheated with housing. And to be building on greenfield sites, we know from experience in some of my villages, we've built on some greenfield sites. It hasn't reduced the price, and it hasn't enabled local people to access housing. So for me, I'm absolutely opposed to building on greenfield sites because it's not addressing the problem that, in terms of accessing the housing market for younger people. Very much I'm a supporter of local plans and neighbourhood plans where we set out where housing should go, the type of housing it should be, and who should be able to access that. And if we follow those rules, we can solve some of the problems. But just this kind of scattergun greenfield development is actually making the problem worse because we're bringing people out of London who can afford these places and making house prices even higher in Sussex.
The thing is, I think some people look at these opposition campaigners and they say this is NIMBYism. They just don't want it in their backyard.
Well, I would disagree. If you look at some of my villages, for example, Wivelsfield and Newark and Chailey, that have just done their neighbourhood plan, they actually have accepted housing, the numbers of housing. They have set sites in their communities where they think that housing should go, where it would be appropriate. They've set out the type of housing, whether it's houses, flats, downsizing properties. So they are absolutely open because they want their young people in their villages to stay and be able to afford to live there. 3,000 homes on a greenfield site is not an appropriate development. We heard in your traffic report this morning the problems at Earwig Corner, at Polegate, on the A27. Our roads are absolutely logjam. This isn't about NIMBYism. This is about appropriate development for our communities.
You mentioned Willingdon. You're opposed to another proposal there, aren't you? 700 new homes proposed for Willingdon near Polegate. What are you concerned most about?
Well, myself and Caroline Ansell, who's the MP for Eastbourne, are jointly opposing that because it's the last greenfield space between Polegate and Eastbourne. It's 800 homes which were turned down before by the planning inspector. And we've asked the Secretary of State that should it be given approval this time, that he looks at that before a final decision is made. Because, Polegate Primary School, it had an extension to it last year, is now full. Our GP practices just in Polegate, the two practices alone are completely full and can't take any more patients. And the roads are congested.
On that, Maria, though, we have contacted the developer of the Willingdon proposal, and a spokesperson for Dainscroft says that actually, as well as the 700 new homes, they're also planning a state-of-the-art medical centre for Polegate and Willingdon. So that would help, with that.
Well, no, that is a Trojan horse, and the residents are really wise to this. East Sussex County Council have offered the GPs a site to build a brand new state-of-the-art medical centre that doesn't come with 800 homes. There is an alternative site for that, but the developers are holding the community hostage to say, you won't get that unless you have these 800 homes. And these are the sort of tactics that are being used on residents. So residents aren't NIMBYs. They want to see infrastructure as well as housing. And, as me as the local MP is to stand up and raise those concerns.
Maria Caulfield, MP for Lewes, thank you for your time.